With the FBI's crackdown on organised crime after the mob's disastrous Appalachian Mafia summit in 1957, and with improvements in law enforcement surveillance, there are very few mobsters who have no documented photo. However, in the entire history of Cosa Nostra in the United States, there are some mobsters where a confirmed photo remains elusive. Let's check it out. Welcome to OC Shorts, bringing you detailed historical snapshots of the American Mafia and other organised crime. Feel free to subscribe if you like that sort of thing. Today, we're going to take a quick look at a selection of mobsters who have no known photograph of them whilst they were still alive. Between law enforcement mugshots, FBI surveillance, and leaked personal family pictures, we have documented photos of the vast majority of mobsters. However, there are a few where there is still no confirmed photo. Let's start with one of the most famous. For many years, there are multiple books and documentaries that have cited this photo as being an image of former boss of bosses Salvatore Maranzano. In 1990, author J. Robert Nash identified this photo as Maranzano in one of his books. It was then reprinted in his book, World Encyclopedia of Organised Crime, in 1992. From here, the photo was then used in various books and documentaries. However, in 2009, historian David Critchley provided proof that this photo was in fact not Salvatore Maranzano. David Critchley, the author of the excellent book The Origin of Organised Crime in America, identified the man in the alleged Maranzano photo as a London-based mobster by the name of Salvatore Mesina. Salvatore Mesina and his brothers had a Sicilian father, but were born in Malta, and later moved to the United Kingdom and ran a prostitution ring in London in the late 1940s and early 1950s. In the UK, mobster Salvatore Mesina would go by the name of Arthur Evans. Critchley came across a newspaper article in the London Sunday Times, published on August 13th, 1967, called The Messinas of Mayfair, and in this article was a photo of mobster Salvatore Arthur Evans Mesina. Critchley cross-referenced this photo with London's Scotland Yard Police archives, and the photo was confirmed as Salvatore Mesina, not Salvatore Maranzano. What this leaves us with is only 3 confirmed photos of Maranzano, which are all of his crime scene after he was brutally murdered in 1931. There is currently no authenticated photo of Salvatore Maranzano from when he was alive, making it the holy grail for many mob historians. Interestingly, there is a coroner's sketch of the slain Maranzano and the injuries that he received that provided us potentially with some indication of what his face may have looked like. Next up is another former boss of bosses, Salvatore Toto D'Aquila. D'Aquila was a powerful New York-based mobster who allegedly served as boss of bosses from around 1912 until his murder in 1928. Over the years, there have been several photos allegedly claiming to be of Salvatore Toto D'Aquila. This photo, often labelled as the former boss of bosses, is in fact mobster Saverio Sanpalaccia, a man who had been aligned with D'Aquila and would go on to become the consigliere to his successor as boss of bosses, Joe Masseria. In 1932, Palaccia would be murdered in Chicago in a plot involving New York mobster Vito Genovese, along with Paul Ricca from the Chicago outfit. Another photo, often labelled as Toto D'Aquila, can be seen here. However, this is in fact actually a picture of Francesco Cheech Caruso, a longtime mobster who served in D'Aquila's crime family, and also under his successors, all the way up to Carlo Gambino. In 2021, a photo of Salvatore D'Aquila's crime scene was unearthed, buried in the municipal archives in New York City. Currently, this is the closest that we have to a photo of D'Aquila's face. But there is still no image in circulation of Toto D'Aquila when he was alive. Interestingly, former Gambino crime family captain Mikey Scars DiLeonardo, whose personal family roots go back to the days of D'Aquila, stated in an episode of the Mob Archaeologist podcast that he possesses photos of D'Aquila and that he will release them when the time is right. After Toto D'Aquila was murdered in 1928, he was succeeded as boss of the crime family by Manfredi Mineo. Mineo would appoint Stefano Steve Ferrigno as his underboss. However, there is currently no photo of Manfredi Mineo whilst he was alive. During the so-called Castellammarese War in the early 1930s, between one group led by Salvatore Maranzano and the other by Joe Masseria, Mineo and his crime family was aligned with Joe Masseria. In November 1930, Maranzano gunmen ambushed Mineo and Steve Ferrigno in the courtyard of a building in the Bronx, where they were allegedly meeting with Joe Masseria. Both Mineo and his underboss Steve Ferrigno were shot to death. Again, we have crime scene photos showing the bodies of Mineo and Ferrigno, but as mentioned, at this time there is no confirmed photo of Manfredi Mineo whilst he was alive. William Billy Batts Bentvena was a mobster made famous in Martin Scorsese's movie Goodfellas, in which Batts was portrayed by the late actor Frank Vincent. William Billy Batts Bentvena was a mobster linked with the Gambino crime family. However, despite what is stated by Lucchese crime family associate Henry Hill, there is doubt that Billy Batts was actually a made man. As I've covered in a previous video, the link to this is in the comments below. One of the key points that discredit the notion that William Billy Batts Bentvena was ever a made man is that he was only half Italian. His mother's name was Alice Fulham, and she was Irish, being born in Dublin. During Bentvena's era, you had to have a 100% Italian bloodline on both sides of your parents' family to be inducted into the Mafia. In the late 1970s, around 1977, the mob relaxed this rule, and only your father had to have Italian lineage. But this was many years after Billy Batts had died in 1970. Anyway, there is currently no confirmed photo of William Billy Batts Bentvena. Bentvena spent several years in prison on a narcotics conviction in the 1960s. But at present, there is no mugshot or prison photo that has been found. One photo that is often incorrectly labelled as Billy Batts is this one, which is in fact Philadelphia mobster Pasquale Pat the Cat Spirito. Spirito would be murdered in 1983. According to Henry Hill, William Billy Batts Bentvena would be murdered in 1970 by Tommy DeSimone and Jimmy Burke. His remains have never been discovered, and historians still search for a confirmed photo of him. There are of course many mobsters from yesteryear who have no authenticated photo confirming their identity, but these four have always piqued my interest. In the comments below, let me know of any mobsters that you have always been interested in seeing a confirmed photo of. I hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching.